Title: The Whispered Truth. The party was in full swing, the kind of gathering where the air buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the faint thrum of bass from the speakers. For 24-year-old Mia Carter, it was supposed to be a fun night out with her friends, a chance to unwind after a long week at work. But as the evening unfolded, Mia would overhear a conversation that would shatter her perception of the people around her and force her to make a decision that would change everything. The perfect night. Mia had always been the kind of person who thrived in social settings. She was bubbly, outgoing, and effortlessly charming, the kind of girl who could strike up a conversation with anyone. Tonight, she was surrounded by her closest friends: Sarah, her college roommate; Jake, her childhood best friend; and Emma, her co-worker and confidant. They were her inner circle, the people she trusted most in the world. The party was being held at Sarah's spacious downtown apartment, and the atmosphere was electric. The living room was packed with people, the kitchen counter was lined with bottles and snacks, and the balcony offered a stunning view of the city skyline. Mia felt like she was on top of the world. But as the night wore on, she began to notice something strange. Her friends seemed off. They were whispering to each other in corners, exchanging glances that felt loaded with meaning. At one point, Mia caught Jake and Emma huddled together near the balcony door, their heads bent close. When she approached, they quickly straightened up and changed the subject. Mia tried to brush it off, telling herself she was being paranoid. But the nagging feeling in her gut wouldn't go away. The overheard conversation. Around midnight, Mia decided to take a break from the noise and step out onto the balcony for some fresh air. The night was cool, and the city lights sparkled like stars. She leaned against the railing, letting the breeze calm her nerves. That's when she heard it. Through the slightly ajar balcony door, Mia overheard a conversation coming from the kitchen. It was Sarah's voice, sharp and biting, followed by Jake's low murmur. At first, Mia couldn't make out what they were saying, but as she strained to listen, the words became clear, and they hit her like a punch to the gut. "I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending," Sarah said, her voice dripping with disdain. "Mia is so clueless. It's exhausting." Jake chuckled, a sound that made Mia's skin crawl. "I know, right? She's so desperate for attention. It's pathetic." Mia's heart pounded as she listened, her hands gripping the railing. She wanted to walk away, to pretend she hadn't heard anything, but she couldn't move. "And the way she talks about her job," Sarah continued. "Like she's some kind of hotshot. Please. She's a glorified assistant." "Don't even get me started on her dating life," Jake added. "She's always whining about how she can't find a decent guy. Maybe if she wasn't so needy, she'd have better luck." Mia felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. She had always thought of Sarah and Jake as her closest friends, the people who had her back no matter what. But now, hearing them talk about her like this, she felt like a fool. The conversation took an even darker turn when Emma joined in. "Honestly, I feel bad for her," Emma said, her tone mocking. "She's so desperate to be liked that she doesn't even realize how fake everyone is around her. It's kind of sad." "Yeah, well, she's not the only one," Sarah replied. "Remember that time she cried because she thought we forgot her birthday? Like, get over yourself." The three of them burst into laughter, the sound cutting through Mia like a knife. She felt like she was going to be sick. How could they say these things about her? How could they pretend to be her friends while secretly despising her? The decision. Mia's mind raced as she tried to process what she had just heard. She felt humiliated, betrayed, and utterly alone. But beneath the hurt, a spark of anger began to grow. She wasn't going to let them get away with this. Taking a deep breath, Mia wiped her tears and straightened her shoulders. She wasn't going to confront them, not here, not now. Instead, she would leave the party and cut them out of her life for good. But before she did, she needed to make sure they knew exactly what she thought of them. Mia slipped back inside and made her way to the kitchen, where Sarah, Jake, and Emma were still gathered. They looked up as she approached, their expressions shifting from amusement to guilt. "Hey Mia," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "We were just talking about you." "I know," Mia replied, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "I heard everything." The room fell silent, the weight of Mia's words hanging in the air. Sarah, Jake, and Emma exchanged uneasy glances, their earlier confidence evaporating. "Mia, it's not what you think," Jake began, but Mia cut him off. "Save it," she said, her tone icy. "I don't need your excuses. I heard what you said, and I know how you really feel about me. So let's just cut the crap, okay?" Sarah opened her mouth to protest, but Mia held up a hand. "No. You don't get to explain this away. You've been pretending to be my friends for who knows how long, and I'm done. I'm done with all of you." With that, Mia turned on her heel and walked out of the kitchen, leaving her so-called friends staring after her in stunned silence. She grabbed her coat and bag from the hallway and headed for the door, her heart pounding but her resolve unwavering. The aftermath. The next few days were a blur. Mia blocked Sarah, Jake, and Emma on all her social media accounts and ignored their attempts to reach out. She spent her time reflecting on what had happened and realizing how much of herself she had sacrificed to please people who didn't truly care about her. But as painful as the experience was, it also gave Mia a newfound sense of clarity. She realized that she didn't need friends who talked about her behind her back or made her feel small. She deserved better, and she was determined to find it. Mia threw herself into her work, reconnected with old friends who had always been genuine, and even started seeing a therapist to work through her feelings of betrayal and self-doubt. Slowly but surely, she began to rebuild her life on her own terms. The confrontation. A few weeks later, Mia ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. Sarah looked nervous, her eyes darting around as if she wasn't sure whether to approach. Mia considered ignoring her, but decided it was time to have the conversation she had been avoiding. "Mia," Sarah said hesitantly, "can we talk?" Mia nodded, her expression neutral. "Sure. Let's talk." They sat down at a corner table, and Sarah began to apologize. "I'm so sorry for what happened at the party. We were drunk, and we didn't mean any of it. You're one of my best friends, and I hate that I hurt you." Mia listened quietly, then shook her head. "Sarah, you can't just blame it on being drunk. What you said that night, it wasn't just some random comment. It was how you really feel. And that's okay. But I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." Sarah looked down, her face flushed with shame. "I understand. I hope you can forgive me someday." Mia sighed. "Maybe someday. But right now, I need to focus on myself. And that means moving on from people who don't respect me." With that, Mia stood up and walked away, leaving Sarah sitting alone at the table. It wasn't the dramatic confrontation she had imagined, but it was closure, and that was enough. The new beginning. Mia's life didn't magically improve overnight, but she felt lighter, freer, and more in control than she had in years. She had learned a hard lesson about the importance of surrounding herself with people who truly cared about her, and she was determined not to make the same mistake again. As she stood on the balcony of her new apartment, watching the sun set over the city, Mia felt a sense of peace. The whispered truth had hurt, but it had also set her free. And now, she was ready to start a new chapter, one where she was the author of her own story. The end. Title: The Shadow of Envy. In the small, picturesque town of Willow Creek, where everyone knew everyone else's business, 17-year-old Lily Harper was the girl who seemed to have it all. She was smart, talented, and effortlessly popular, the kind of person who lit up a room just by walking into it. But beneath her sunny exterior was a girl who worked tirelessly to maintain her image, always striving to be the best version of herself. Lily's best friend, Sophie Carter, had been by her side since elementary school. They were inseparable, the kind of friends who finished each other's sentences and knew each other's deepest secrets. Or so Lily thought. What Lily didn't know was that Sophie had been harboring a secret, a dark, consuming jealousy that had been festering for years. And when Lily accidentally stumbled upon the truth, it would shatter their friendship and change both of their lives forever. The perfect facade. Lily and Sophie were the quintessential best friends. They spent every weekend together, binge-watching their favorite shows, gossiping about their classmates, and dreaming about the future. Lily was the star of the school's drama club, while Sophie was the quiet, artistic one who preferred to stay behind the scenes. But as they entered their junior year of high school, Lily began to notice subtle changes in Sophie's behavior. She was more distant, more critical, and often made backhanded compliments that left Lily feeling uneasy. Still, Lily brushed it off, chalking it up to stress or teenage mood swings. What Lily didn't realize was that Sophie's jealousy had been growing for years, fueled by Lily's constant success and the attention she received from their peers. Sophie had always felt like she was living in Lily's shadow, and the more Lily shone, the darker Sophie's envy became. The first crack. The first crack in their friendship appeared during the school's annual talent show. Lily had been practicing for weeks, perfecting her rendition of a popular song. Sophie, who had always been shy about performing, had reluctantly agreed to accompany her on the piano. But on the night of the show, Sophie didn't show up. Lily waited backstage, her heart pounding as the minutes ticked by. Finally, she had to perform alone, her voice trembling with nerves. The performance was far from her best, and the lukewarm applause from the audience only added to her humiliation. After the show, Lily found Sophie in the parking lot, sitting in her car. "Where were you?" Lily demanded, her voice shaking with anger and hurt. Sophie looked up, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Lily. I got nervous and couldn't do it. I didn't mean to let you down." Lily wanted to believe her, but something about Sophie's explanation didn't sit right. Still, she pushed her doubts aside and hugged her friend, telling herself that Sophie would never intentionally hurt her. The discovery. A few weeks later, Lily's suspicions were confirmed in the most unexpected way. She was at Sophie's house, working on a project for their history class, when Sophie's phone buzzed with a notification. Sophie had left the room to grab a snack, and Lily couldn't resist the urge to peek. What she saw made her blood run cold. It was a message from an anonymous account on a social media platform Lily had never heard of. The message read, "Another successful sabotage. Keep up the good work." Lily's hands trembled as she clicked on the account, her heart pounding in her chest. What she found was a treasure trove of posts that detailed every time Sophie had secretly undermined her over the years. There were screenshots of private conversations Sophie had leaked to their classmates, photos of Lily that had been edited to make her look bad, and even a list of Lily's insecurities that Sophie had been using against her. The account was filled with hateful comments and cruel jokes, all aimed at tearing Lily down. Lily felt like she had been punched in the gut. She had always trusted Sophie, had always believed that their friendship was unbreakable. But now, she realized that Sophie had been secretly destroying her reputation for years. The confrontation. When Sophie returned to the room, Lily was waiting for her, her face pale and her eyes filled with tears. "What is this?" Lily demanded, holding up Sophie's phone. Sophie's face went white. "Lily, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you've been sabotaging me this whole time? That you've been pretending to be my friend while secretly hating me?" Sophie looked down, her hands shaking. "I don't hate you, Lily. I couldn't stand how perfect you were. Everyone always loved you, and no matter how hard I tried, I could never measure up. I just wanted to feel like I was good enough for once." Lily felt a mix of anger and pity as she listened to Sophie's confession. "So instead of talking to me, instead of being honest, you decided to destroy me? Do you have any idea how much you've hurt me?" Sophie's eyes filled with tears. "I never meant to hurt you, Lily. I didn't know how to deal with my own insecurities. I thought if I could bring you down, I would feel better about myself. But it didn't work. It just made everything worse." The fallout. The fallout was swift and brutal. Lily cut Sophie out of her life, refusing to speak to her or even acknowledge her presence at school. The rest of their friend group was divided, with some siding with Lily and others defending Sophie. But the damage had been done. Lily's reputation had been tarnished, and she found herself constantly looking over her shoulder, wondering who she could trust. She threw herself into her schoolwork and her extracurricular activities, determined to prove that she was more than the rumors Sophie had spread. Sophie, meanwhile, became a pariah. Her actions had been exposed, and no one wanted to associate with someone who had betrayed their best friend so cruelly. She withdrew from her friends and her hobbies, spending most of her time alone. The redemption. Months passed, and Lily began to heal. She started seeing a therapist, who helped her work through her feelings of betrayal and insecurity. She also began to rebuild her friendships, slowly but surely earning back the trust of her classmates. One day, as she was walking home from school, Lily ran into Sophie. They hadn't spoken since the confrontation, and the sight of her former best friend filled Lily with a mix of emotions. "Hey," Sophie said hesitantly. "Can we talk?" Lily nodded, and they sat down on a bench in the park. Sophie took a deep breath and began to speak. "I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I realized how much I hurt you. I was so caught up in my own jealousy that I couldn't see how much I was damaging our friendship. I'm so sorry, Lily. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm trying to change." Lily listened quietly, her heart heavy with the weight of Sophie's words. "I appreciate your apology," she said finally. "But I don't know if I can forgive you. What you did, it changed everything." Sophie nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "I understand. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I'm working on being a better person." The new beginning. As she walked away from the park, Lily felt a sense of closure. The road had been long and painful, but it had led her here, to a place where she could finally let go of the past and move forward. The shadow of envy had darkened her life, but now, she was ready to step into the light. The end.